Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Here, I want to do local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center to kick it off. I know it's not teams that you cover, but it's in Chippewa. But we've got a big time hockey game tonight. So I got to imagine Chippewa Ice Arena is going to be packed. Memorial versus Wausau West, but Memorial defeated Chippewa Falls in that game, and it was a tight one. I mean, the go-ahead goal, winning goal, 30 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, 2-1 win for the Old Abes on Tuesday night at a jam-packed Hobbs. Clear over Chi-Hi. I mean, that was beforehand I looked into it, and since 2010, I believe that game Tuesday night was the 7th time that Chippewa Falls and Eau Claire Memorial have played in sectionals, not sectional semis or sectional finals. So they've played a lot at that point over the years, and that was the first time in those matchups that was a one-goal game. Now, there are other ones that might have been a one-goal game, and maybe there's an empty netter late and stuff like that, but that was a game that was a grinder from start to finish. And Eau Claire Memorial really, it seemed like to me near the end of the second period, they got a power play, and Gabe Pankratz had a power play snipe with 20 seconds left in the period that tied the game. And to me, that was that felt like a bit of a shift there, to maybe Eau Claire Memorial kind of taking a little bit more of the momentum. And they controlled the puck for a lot of the third quarter, or third period, and then, just got to, grab the turnover that, ends up on the stick of Mac Diggins, and that's a guy with 30-some goals this year. And when you get that opportunity right in front of the net, usually those type of guys don't miss, and he didn't. So, burying it with, less than a minute left, and, that's got Eau Claire Memorial, a game from state, going against Wausau West tonight, as you mentioned, over Chippewa Ice Arena. And that's it was going to be an interesting matchup, obviously, no matter who it was. But that's an interesting matchup to me because those are two teams that have a ton of state appearances between them. I mean, Eau Claire Memorial's been there, you look at the banner of Hobbs, right. It's like 2 dozen times, whatever it is. Wausau West, they're in a similar boat. But, it's been a few years for either of them. Eau Claire Memorial's last trip to state was 2018. I believe they were runner-up that year. Wausau West is 2019. So, for programs that have that much success and always have that super high bar, one of those teams is getting back for the first time in a while. That's something that was kind of talked about after the game Tuesday, is by Coach Jeff Schemberger, is hey, it's been a few years since we've been in the spot, so we're kind of excited to getting back to business as usual, so to speak, for the Old Abes. But that's gonna be a heck of a test. Wausau West came from behind to beat New Richmond, who won the Big Rivers during the regular season, so that's going to be a heck of one. Like you said, I think there's going to be a pretty good contingent at Chippewa Ice Arena tonight for that one.
Well, apparently we've got one celebrity that's going over there. C-Bomb says he's going to the game tonight. So everybody look for C-Bomb.
C-Bomb, unfortunately, the fan deck is not the fan deck for high school games, so you're not going to be able to go up top and get a beverage. So They'll be locked away, so you have to wait for the next Chippewa Steel game to partake there.
So we got that going on. Also, right now we got state wrestling that's going on, right? Individuals and teams, correct?
Right, yeah. Well, yesterday you had the first day of individuals, and you got everyone getting underway, and they'll get back going this morning, and things are a little tweaked this year with just how the tournaments go and who goes when, but Friday really is kind of moving day for state wrestling. You hear about that day in golf all the time, but this is you'll get a lot of eliminations today, and if you make it out of day 2, you're going to end on the podium. It's just so that's always kind of a very important point where you get to those points where you got kids wrestling where the winner advances tomorrow and the loser's done. Friday. Obviously, Saturday has a lot of energy and a lot of drama to it because, you got people wrestling for state titles and all that good stuff. But, Fridays they kind of got their own thing because you want to get to Saturday because at least then okay, if I get to Saturday, I'm going to I'm going to come away with something. And you don't want to be in that spot where, you don't come away with anything.
Right. Yeah, so we got, I know you highlighted a couple in your neck of the woods.
Right, and there's just, there's a ton all over. Yeah, there's a ton all over the place, so.
Yeah. And then we've got girls basketball playoffs continuing. For some, For some, it's their first games starting tonight.
Right. And you had the regional quarterfinals on Tuesday, and A lot of those games were a little sizable in the outcomes, just because it's the first round of the playoffs. But tonight you kind of the rubber hits the road, and there's a bunch of them out there. The one I'm unquestionably keeping an eye on, even though it's not one I cover, is Fall Creek, Eau Claire Regis. That's one that I kind of allude to it. I think it was last week when we were talking about the girls, postseason pairings, and my thoughts on maybe Regis being a little bit underseeded, but regardless, this is a matchup. Like I don't want to speak in hyperbole, but I don't know if you're going to find another matchup like this in any of the regional semis around the state, because these are two of the three teams, along with McDonald, that shared the Western Clover Belt title. Two teams with, I forget the exact number, 17, 18 wins, whatever it was. Won their Clover Belt crossover matchups last weekend. Two teams that played in the regular season, I believe, split those matchups, and those were, tight one-possession games. Like, this is one of those that, this is going to have a sectional feel for a regional semifinal. And whichever team emerges out of this is going to have from here on out, they're not going to have any layups. But you're going to feel good if you're that team that comes out of there, and you're going to feel battle-tested right out the get-go. So this is one where, let's put it this way, if I wasn't working tonight and I was just like, I want to go find a game to go to, this is, if there would be room for me, this is, because I don't know, this one I have a feeling is going to be very highly attended. Yeah. This is one I would be having, I'd be having on my radar for sure.
I know we got Memorial that's going to be taking on Oshkosh North, who defeated Chippewa Falls on Tuesday night. So that's some Division I, and Eau Claire North is going to be in action as well, taking on Superior. Division II, we got Rice Lake taking on Merrill because Merrill defeated New Richmond. Medford will be taking on Mosedy because Medford defeated Wausau East. We got River Falls taking on Lakeland. Menominee taking on Rylander. It's a lot, because a lot of teams are still active in this thing. Baldwin Woodville's going to take on Barron because Barron defeated Hayward. Right. Northwestern defeated Spooner, so it's Northwestern versus Prescott. Somerset taking on Amory. St. Croix Falls taking on St. Croix Central.
There you go.
And then Elk Mound takes on Veroka because they defeated Stanley Boyd.
You got Bloomer and Arcadia, I believe, is the matchup. Those two will meet tomorrow night. Whoever wins out of those matchups.
And Altoona is taking on Mauston because Altoona picked up the W. And then Black River Falls, a little bit of an upset over Adams Friendship based off seeding-wise.
A little bit, yeah.
But they'll be taking on Wisconsin Dells, and that's all Division III. Division IV, Boyceville moves on, so they take on Shell Lake. Clear Lake takes on Colfax, as you mentioned, Fall Creek and Regis. Mondovi takes on Durand, Arkansas. Cameron, Chautauqua Weyerhaeuser. Cadott takes on Marathon. Colby takes on McDonald Catholic. Feel like those have been some, was it football games back in the day? Or why do I feel like Chippewa Falls and McDonald and Colby? I'm thinking maybe somebody different. Maybe I'm thinking.
That could be.
Yeah, I don't know why. Or maybe just because it's.
That's a Western Clover Belt and Eastern Clover Belt. So
maybe that's why I'm thinking about it a little bit. So, but yeah, again, my mind this morning. Turtle Lake takes on Solon Springs. Siren, Clayton, New Auburn takes on Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran. Spring Valley and Webster Owen Withy moves on. They take on Prentice, and Gilman takes on Washburn, Winter, Rib Lake. And so that's Division 5 over there. And then I know boys start next week, right?
Correct. Yeah, the pairings came out Sunday. I know you and Justice touched base a little bit about that on Monday. So.
Yeah. So that'll start next week. I want to go back to hockey because I forgot to note this, though, too, but the ECA Stars.
I was going to bring that up if you weren't going to.
So I want to go back, but they play Black River Falls tomorrow, right?
Right. They play tomorrow afternoon. I believe that's in Somerset, and that's one where.
Was that the triple overtime game?
That was a 5 overtime game.
Or 5 overtime,
After
that's right,
they went triple overtime in their opener over Hudson, then Tuesday night they go to 5 OTs to beat Western Wisconsin. I mean, I think that's one where you mentioned Eau Claire Memorial plays tonight. I think that's when ECA is very glad that game's tomorrow because that gives them another rest day because they have played 8 combined overtime games. Even though I think the 5th overtime was relatively short, but still, I mean that is so much extra hockey on the team, especially when a lot of these teams are. They're going 2, maybe 3 if your team's pretty deep line. So I mean, that's a lot of ice time. But I mean, that's going back a couple weeks when we were first talking about this bracket. I said, hey, there's like 5 or 6 teams you can make a case for in this bracket, and you've got the 5 seed and the 3 seed still alive after Black River Falls knocked off. They've been the road warriors so far. They went on the road and beat Chippewa Falls Menominee, and then they went on the road and beat top ranked St. Croix Valley. So. I mean, that's going to be a fun one. I think, I don't know if it's going to be an overtime classic like those other ones, but still, I mean, these are, this was something that was a possibility when you went back to those pairings being announced, just because of this was a pretty kind of deep and relatively even section, and now you've got two teams that are looking to kind of take that last step. I mean, you don't want to play all that extra hockey and then come up short. So I mean, this is going to be a very spirited effort. If I remember correctly, there's 2 games at Somerset. 'Cause I think when the D1 boys, or the D2 boys semi or sectional finals is there earlier in the day. So Somerset getting a significant 1-2 punch of hockey tomorrow.
And then I know because we've got postseason for gymnastics going on too, correct? Or is that states coming up here?
Yeah, you've got the gymnastics sectionals they've already started. And I was Somerset River Falls is the first game at Somerset tomorrow. But
okay.
You've got gymnastics sectionals. I think a couple around the state have already started, but I think for this area, Division I believe that's tomorrow. I'll double check on that, but I believe that's tomorrow down in West Salem. So
gotcha.
Your Chippewa Falls McDonald's, your Eau Claire's, I believe, are going to be the teams that are in that mix. Yeah, West Salem, mentioned those. Your alma mater, Medford Colby's in the mix there, but yeah, Chippewa Falls, McDonald, and
My alma mater
Eau Claire.
is not Colby.
You love Colby though. There's a reason they're connected to McDonald. But that one is tomorrow. Yep, that's tomorrow morning. So, but you kind of got them sprinkled between Thursday, Friday, and I know some of the D2 teams from around here. They're heading up to Ashland. That's
the Ordockers.
The Ordockers. That's tomorrow as well. So yeah, and then next week we'll have state for gymnastics as well, and I would imagine there will be a pretty good representation. We get some good gymnastics teams in this area, but that's something we'll be able to chat a little bit more next week.
Yep. College-wise, we've got a lot of WIAC tournament stuff going on. We've got indoor track and field WIAC championships beginning today. I know Blue Gold Wrestling is at the NCAA Upper Midwest Regionals. We've got WIAC tournaments going on for hockey. So, yeah, we got those, and Blue Gold Softball is going to be in action this weekend, too. We've got some of the spring sports that are just beginning their seasons and getting underway. So, kind of that crossover, right? So with the winter season starting to wrap up and getting into their conference play and postseason play, and some of the spring sports getting ready to rock and roll. So, all right, that's your local sports roundup, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center.